Okay, hey everybody. Um, so this week's prompt was, in the fictional works we've read so far, find and discuss examples of the pressures of performativity, history, and conformity in the African American society and literature. Examples. I can't really think of any examples in of too many African Americans performing as white people. I think of like 100 of white people performing as African Americans wearing blackface, which is pretty pretty taboo now. Anyway, as far as performativity, I think that a lot of African Americans at the time that Robert Wright, I think they worked towards entertaining white people and trying to become more appealing as far as entertainment to white people, because it meant that maybe they were becoming more equal in their, in one sense rather than another, as far as they could enjoy the same things, but necessarily wouldn't have the same rights. And one instance of this is when the boy, who I can only assume is Robert Wright, starts hanging around the saloons and like imitating the drunks and asking for money. And he would say, it says right here, I was a drunkard in my 6th year before I had begun school. With a gang of children, I roamed the streets, begging pennies from passers-by, haunting the doors of the saloon, wandering farther and farther away from my home each day. I saw more than I could understand, and I heard more than I could remember. And so he went from, it goes on to say after that he went from begging for money and from begging for food, for begging for drinks. And I think that was because he was forced to grow up so quickly, because his mom, working all the time and not having enough time to spend with him, he and his brother. And as far after that, I read the what was it called? Furious Cool. I don't know, I could be kind of butchering that here. Furious Cool, yeah. The Richard Pryor thing. And in it, it goes on to say, why Richard Pryor, and Paul Mooney joined the Black Panther Party. And it went on to talk about some of the people that kind of led to that decision for Richard Pryor. Marvin Gaye was mentioned, and then Malcolm X is also mentioned. Malcolm X, who in the book says that had a really big effect on Richard Pryor and his cadences and things of that nature, really inspired him. And I think when you have anyone who's really a really profound speech giver, that doesn't sound right, speech giver, I guess, you want to take those qualities and you wanted to adapt them to what you're doing. For Richard Pryor, that was comedy, acting, and I've personally never heard any of Malcolm X's speeches that I can remember. Maybe some in history when I was younger, but nothing off the top of my head. But Richard Pryor, I know a lot of Richard Pryor, and his style is all his own. Just like a Bruce or any of the original Kings of Comedy. I don't know if any of you have seen that, but all of them are pretty unique in what they do. And I think that just comes down to, pleasing your audience, black, white, brown, pink, blue, whatever. Because that's how you make money in this world. If you don't have money, you don't eat. You're probably not going to be very happy. Let's see. As far as conformity, you just want to, I forget who used to say it. I was watching a documentary on prostitution and pimps and things, and the rapper Too Short was part of it. And he was saying that, actually, it might not have been Too Short, but it was somebody else. Anyway, I digress. He was saying that, he had spent all this money that he'd earned from selling drugs, and he had saved up in his childhood. And he had spent the money on chains, and like a nice haircut and nice suits. He didn't necessarily have those things or the money to buy them, but he was going to fake it till he made it. And so that's how I feel with the conformity in this mode. Some of these people don't necessarily have the qualities that represent, not represent, but match what they're conforming to, but they're doing it just that way. They can have that illusion until they actually follow them or fall into them. And as far as the discussions of performativity, it was just to be your own person. It wasn't just to be what the white man said you were, or what you had been typecast to be as far as a person of a different religion. And in the who's the playwright? Excuse me, I hope you guys can hear that. August Wilson. So when August Wilson is talking in that video that's on Course Documents, he says that the Asian American people from the Asia, Koreas, all that, they're free to do whatever they like. They're free to live out their customs and everything that they know and love. But African Americans aren't. And then the guy interviewing, whose name I don't know, said that Chinatown is a tourist attraction. Everybody goes to Chinatown, everybody loves Chinatown, but Harlem's not. And so I thought that was kind of interesting because everybody knows what Harlem is. Since I grew up in Alaska, and ever since I was like 6 or 7, I always known what Harlem was. I've never been there, but I always knew what it was. But I didn't know what Chinatown was until later on. Even though there's like 4 or 5 of them across the world. One DC, one New York, and California somewhere, LA, I imagine. And I just thought that was interesting because, why wouldn't everybody be able to, fulfill their cultural backgrounds and things like that. Even in New York, there's a strong Jewish, following, but culture that's delis and all these other things, and it just seems like black culture is the only one that gets a negative rap. It's always related to like violence and other crimes. I don't think it's fair. Anyway, I think that should us for the week. Double check. Yeah. And so that's it. Thanks, guys. I hope to read your responses, and I'll respond to yours. Have a great week.